Solomon opens rule number 5 with a sentence that it feels upside down at first. A good name is better than fine perfume, and the day of death better than the day of birth. That's not a greeting card verse, it's a perspective verse. He's saying this: the real measure of life is not how it begins, it's how it ends. Welcome to Chasing the Wind. I'm Dan Holland, and we're looking at 10 rules from Solomon for catching what lasts. This is rule number 5. A good name isn't built in a moment. It's built across thousands of small decisions that accumulate into a reputation, a legacy, if you will, a scent that lingers after you're gone. Perfume fades, of course. A name remains. And Solomon is trying to move us from the short game to the long game. Most of us are trained to think about, we think about image. Solomon is talking about character. Image is what people think you are. Character is who you really are when no one is watching. Image is immediate. Character is cumulative. A good name isn't marketing. It's integrity over time. You don't wake up one day with a good name. You become the kind of person who carries one. Now, I learned that lesson standing beside a car in the Texas heat. The summer after I graduated high school, I was leaving for Arizona. I had packed everything I owned into a 1971 AMC Ambassador and strapped my motorcycle to the back. I was ready to go, start my life. My dad walked outside and he said he wanted to talk to me, and he looked at me and he said, "I'm proud of you, and I wish I had an inheritance to give you, but I don't. But what I do have to give you is my name. So I want you to know that I've worked hard to keep my name good. You can go anywhere in the world and use my name, and you'll never be embarrassed or find that I owe anyone anything." And then he said something I'll never forget. He said, "Keep your name pure so you can pass it on." That was his inheritance. And I remember driving across the desert thinking, I've been handed something priceless. Now, that's what Solomon's talking about. A good name is an inheritance you carry before you earn a paycheck. It opens doors that you didn't knock on. It protects you when no one is watching, and you don't realize how valuable it is until you see someone who's lost theirs. And here's the uncomfortable part. You don't really fully know whether you've built a good name until the end. That's what Solomon means when he says the day of death is better than the day of birth. You see, at birth, potential is unlimited. At death, the story's written. And the question is not, did I succeed? The question is, who did I become? Paul gives us the New Testament language for this concept in 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 15. He says, believers are the aroma of Christ in the world. That's reputation language. He's saying that when people encounter your life, they smell something. Now, not literally, but spiritually. There's a trace left behind, a fragrance. You carry a scent into every room, into every space. And the question is, what do people breathe in when you leave? Pressure? Pride? Self-protection? Kindness? Stability? Peace? You don't manufacture a fragrance, you absorb one. Paul says we carry the aroma of Christ when our lives are anchored in him, which means a good name is not built by trying to look impressive. It's built by staying close to Jesus long enough that his character begins to define yours. Paul wrote in Philippians 1:21, he said, "For me to live is Christ, and to die is gain." That's a person who has aligned their identity so completely with Christ that their life cannot be separated from their witness. A good name is not ego preservation. It's Christ's expression. It's not, did they admire me? It's, did they encounter Jesus through me? And that changes everything. Solomon is describing the kind of interior life that builds a good name without chasing attention. That's so important. A good name is not loud, it's steady. It's not flashy generally, it's faithful. It's not perfect, but it's consistent. And here's the part Solomon wants us to face honestly. A good name can be ruined. Not because one mistake erases a life, it doesn't, but because the character that's ignored is the character that erodes slowly. We don't wake up one morning and choose collapse. We drift toward it in small compromises. A shortcut here, rationalization there, a private habit we promise to control later. Character doesn't usually explode, it leaks. And Jesus said the wise person doesn't just hear truth, he practices it. Agreement doesn't shape character, repetition does. So practice it this week. Choose one relationship where your tone defines your name. Close one small integrity gap and ask every day, every night, if today were repeated for 10 years, who would I become? I want you to think about that. That's trajectory. And here's the grace. You don't build a good name alone. You build it by walking with Christ. The aroma comes from proximity. Get closer. Stay close long enough, and his character becomes your inheritance. Rule number 5 isn't about protecting your legacy. It's about reflecting your Savior, because at the end, the only name that matters more than your name is the name you carried. Maintain a good name, not for applause, not for image, but because your life is meant to smell like Christ. And when it does, success stops being self-centered. It becomes about eternal stuff. And that's not chasing the wind. That's catching what lasts.